Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the... God, I almost said Our Cars podcast again. Like, I felt it coming up. Like, you know when you're talking and you, like... Your brain's got it locked and loaded. Like, you just hear your brain go... Chick, chick, with whatever word's about to come out. But then you, like, let off the trigger and you're just like, no. No, I will not do that today. Anyhow, that was the moment. Anywho, it's the Column Shifters podcast. Here today, Juan Johnson, aka Afro, because of the thing on top of my head. Amateur race car driver slash borderline autist. Autist isn't a word at all. I feel like it could be, but it's not. Anywho, I'm obsessed with building and tearing apart race cars and then driving them and then crashing them because that's what I do. So, woot woot. Joining me here today is my fellow compatriot, Mr. Hunter K. Reeve, who, by the way, I forget, did your sprint car thing happen? Did I miss it? Was I? I don't remember. I don't remember a lot
sprint
of
car
this
thing.
Not the dirt car, the dirt car thing.
Oh no, not yet. No,
Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna happen. I think COVID kind of threw a wrench into literally everything in my planning in
Fucking
2020.
hell! I was so excited for you. It was gonna be a real race car thing. Like that was gonna be freaking exciting. Like straight up, probably the most exciting thing anyone in our group has done.
It was gonna be a dirt modified, but yes, I was very excited to do it.
I was very excited for you to do it. If I could have come up to Canada, I would have like hella potentially tried to go out and watch. It would have been friggin' dope.
I know. Oh well.
Well, you know, there's always next year.
And there's the other thing too. Like I said, I've had my health issues, so it gives me more time to get back into shape. Because I'm pretty sure I'd probably turn like 10 laps right now.
You're fucking ripped. You're shredded, bro. I heard you have an 8-pack.
No, unfortunately. But that gives me more time to get into shape. Because I feel like I'd do about probably 10 laps and be like, I need to lay down.
I will say, honestly, well, I mean, I guess I can't, because obviously I'm not you and I don't have space lupus. But, did I tell you about the fact that I felt more energized and, like, just not exhausted doing, like, an average of, how many did I do? On paper, I was doing an average of, about 20 to 25 laps a day at Pikes Peak International Raceway, and I felt better doing those laps than I did doing just, like, 15 laps on iRacing. Like, after 15, 20 laps on iRacing, I'm like, making old man noises, and I was a little tired. Now, I will say that at least, doing like an iRace race is very stressful, so it's a different kind of like, because when you're doing time attack, it's like, you know, you're only racing yourself. So for the most part, if somebody's on your ass, you just slow down and point them by, and you just focus on what you're doing. Whereas when you're actually like racing people, it's like
It's exactly like that. Yeah, you're right.
But still, like, I was actually I was worried I was gonna be way more Shrek'd by the Grid Life event. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm bringing up Grid Life event. And I feel like the stereotypical like washed up dad, or it's like, oh, I remember back in the day. Oh boy, that was great. It's like for the one time he did one thing that was actually cool. Hopefully the goal is to do 3 Grid Lives next year. That's me stepping up. But
3 life grids.
3 life grids. But yeah, so anyway, long story short though is that I think once you actually do it, I think you'll be surprised at how much, like, for some, again, it's like just the act of doing something really, really exciting and fun, I feel like just makes it like that much less like, God, I'm not making good words at all, but it's like basically the adrenaline keeps you from actually feeling tired until like the next day, and then the next day you'll be like, fuck.
I'm poopy. So my plan is my local track does this like, come rent a supercar and blah blah blah, and my goal this year is to try and get on track. So I might do their rent a supercar.
Dude, the rent a supercar stuff is reasonably legit. Like, from what I've heard, actually, a lot of them, because The nice thing is that as long as you're not a total douche canoe, and as long as you like have a decent conversation with whoever your instructor is, a lot of them, once they realize that you have some sort of experience, they'll let you, like, obviously they always let people kind of open it up, but a lot of them will even be like, okay, well, you're not an idiot, so go for it.
Yeah. So
like that's why
I've been there a few times. The last time I drove anything on track was 2018, and
wasn't it the Narbardong?
No, it's when my wife and I went to Mercedes-Benz World.
Oh yeah, I remember that trip.
Yeah,
I remember it like I was there.
It was the best experience. It's the best feeling in the world for a guy that people that like to drive cars and like do track days and stuff like that, and like racing, is when your instructor just goes like,
"Oh, you're good."
Yeah, you're good.
Dude, did I? Okay, I don't know if have I talked to you since I did my track day at Gateway? I don't think I have.
We did. I thought we talked about it.
Maybe did I tell you about how I lost my instructor?
Oh no, and I don't think we did.
My instructor, he didn't. His racy track car wasn't ready for the day, so he brought out his Accord. And basically we started out doing like because of COVID stuff, they can't be in the cars with us, so we're doing lead follow for the novice group. And for any of you guys who didn't listen to the last podcast or any previous ones, yes, I do time attack, and I've been driving and racing stuff for like 5 years, but I am a novice in my own region because I've never actually until the last event, I'd never driven on my home track. So I had to go through the novice hoops, and it's actually still really a good thing because every track is different, and it's really good to just sort of learn from somebody who knows where all the dips and bumps are and what things to hit and not hit. So long story short is that we were doing lead follow, and then in the last session because I only got to do 3 out of the 4 sessions because I had to run home in the middle of the day. To help out with some family stuff. And so then I came back for the last session. For the last session, we switched, and he followed me while I led. And so we were running around, and like once we started to pass some of the slower groups, we just kept passing. Like I passed like 4 or 5 of the novice bundles. And my instructor was right there behind me, keeping up. And then eventually I caught up with one instructor and student who were actually keeping like a fairly solid pace. And so we just did lap. And then like 3 laps in, I looked at my rearview mirror and my instructor was just gone. And then for like the next 2 laps, I was like looking through my mirror, and like since Gateway flips around on the infield, you can actually see the other side of the track. So I was like looking over to my right, and I was like, what do I do? I'm by myself. Like, I mean, obviously I wasn't like lost on track. It was just like, I didn't want to be dicking around on track when my instructor's like, God, slow down, I gotta. And basically what had happened was, since I caught up to this other duo, they weren't, because it was like that fun awkward situation of when you have a fast slow car, is that I got stuck behind like a BMW M3, and so whenever we reached the straights, like it was just they took me for a walk, and then whenever we got to the twisty bits, then I was like right behind them. So to cut this story a little short, long story short is that I ended up doing like the duckling thing where like if you take a lost duckling and just chuck it at like a trail of other ducklings, it'll just fall in line and get adopted by that duck mother, whatever you call mother duck. That's basically what happened. Is I just got adopted by another instructor, and what had ended up happening is my instructor was like, yeah, my tires were not happy, the car was not happy, your car was already at a way faster pace than this thing ever could hope to maintain, so I just dipped out. You were fine.
Nice.
So I've since, normally to get promoted to intermediate, you're supposed to have 4 track days. Well, I'm now an intermediate. I've done 2 track days I did 1 track day at Autobahn and I did 1 track day at Gateway, and in both places I got bumped to intermediate after my first track day. So that's always fun. But anyways, where I was relating to that bit is just like, it's actually really nice to know that I'm not a total idiot. I'm not fast, but I'm not like an idiot, which is nice.
That's the most important part, honestly. Like, there's plenty of fast idiots. You know what I mean? There needs to just be less idiots on a track.
Yeah, well, no. Oh my god, dude, it's really funny you brought up the fast idiots thing, because I made friends with a guy at Grid Life, and it was his like first ever track day in his S2000, and he was actually faster than me in his first ever track day. Like, he was getting at it, and I wasn't watching him a ton. Like, he'd just come in and he'd be like, "Yeah, I managed to get at this," and I was like, "Haha, that's 3 seconds faster than me." But it was really funny because after a while, his instructor actually came up and was like, "All right, dude, so you're definitely getting it out there, but you are sketchy as hell." It was like, basically, he had to go back out with his instructor even after he'd like graduated from the instructor sessions, because apparently, like, when he was getting it, he was like getting it. Like, he was going sideways in different corners, like, the stuff that will end in you making sweet love to an object of some kind.
Right.
He was race carring on his first track day, which again, it's better. Like, I mean, he had bigger balls than I did, because I definitely wasn't full-blown race carring, because that's the other thing too, he drove his car like 4 hours. And it's another S2000. He had a little trailer and everything. Like, that was his way home. But he was getting at it. So, Godspeed to you, bro. I didn't get him on Facebook. I'm really mad. Like, somehow over the 3 days, we never exchanged information, and I've forgotten his name. I could probably... Wait, no, I can't find out because the HPD information isn't anywhere. I literally can't find out because he wasn't another competitor. I can find out all the other Time Attack competitors' names pretty easily. Like, that's how I found... There's this absolutely chill dude. Like, one of my favorite things about racing in general is, like, there's no one racing sport. I've found that it's all just a bunch of geeks and losers and fucking weirdos doing stupid shit with cars. Some of them have more money, some of them have more common sense, but in every sport, you end up with people doing weird shit with weird cars. And my favorite one is this guy right here. This is a 1987, I believe his is an 87 Ford Festiva track mod. Oh yeah. And this motherfucker was, until the very last day, was 3 seconds faster than me. And and no, it is the stock drivetrain. The only thing that has been done to it for track mod is the interior was gutted, and he had coilovers, wheels, and tires. And his wheels were they're like 14s. Like, they're like these little things, like, look like freaking overinflated go-kart tires. And that thing was just, it was insane. And my favorite thing is because he didn't have any power, because it's got like 88 horsepower. Like, it's the stock motor. And because he didn't have any power, with NASCAR ovals, like, the general rule of thumb is you start out wide and you come in, clip the apex, and then bow back out.
Yeah.
Well, he just ran the inside line full tilt, pedal to the floor the whole time, every time, because he couldn't go fast enough to break the car loose to lose traction. So it was literally like driving the governed go-karts that you get at any, local go-kart track, where they have that limit where you... That being said, if you go to some of the faster track... Okay, correction. If you go to, like, the faster tracks, those are the ones where, like, you do have, like... You have pretty much full throttle, but I'm talking like when you do the kiddie ones where they putter at like 25 miles per hour no matter how pegged you are. That's basically his track experience all the time. But it's got enough tire and a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, dude, it was my fastest time was only 2 seconds faster than that mofo. And the best thing is, if you guys didn't know this about Festivas, there is a cult of Festiva owners. Like, and I mean it's a cult. I'm sorry about my beep boop. I forgot to mute my phone. But yeah, so they're not a crazy cult. They're actually a very chill and cool cult. And they all know each other. Like, flat out. Anybody who does anything with Festiva, like, anybody who does anything other than, like, drop them off cliffs for hilarious effect, they know each other. In that, I know two brothers who they used to have a stage-built, log-booked rally car Ford Festiva. Like, I'm talking full cage and everything, and they raced that thing for years. And when I met this dude and I was talking to him, like, at Grid Life, I was like, oh my god, dude, I would love that you're out here. I know guys who run Festivas. I know some guys who have stage rally cars. And he was like, oh, you mean the Williams brothers? And I was like, yes. So... Nice. Anywho, I don't even know. Let's see, how did I get onto that? I was talking about weird cars and weird things. I don't even remember how I originally got there. Do you remember how I originally got there?
Nope.
Well, anywho, God, I don't even know how we got on this whole... Oh, yeah, you were talking... I was asking about race car stuff, and I was like, are you going to do the thing? And then it was like, no. And then I was like, oh, well, you'll be surprised at how much energy you actually have. And then da-da-da-da. And then you were like... Mercedes experience. Yeah, okay. I'm putting the pieces together. So anywho, yeah. Wow, that escalated. Do you have anything you want to add? If not, we'll actually talk about our topic now that we are...
No,
let's see.
That's it.
That is 16 minutes in, and we haven't even touched topic number 1. Yeah!
Nope.
We should see. We got to go for record. We got to see. I think the record still is like we went like 24 minutes.
I think it's an hour.
Yeah, we went like 24 minutes into a podcast without talking about the podcast topics at all.
Yeah.
I think that was the was that the iRacing one? Was that I think it was the iRacing one.
Yeah, that's like 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about iRacing.
It was gross. So no, I'm not going to say it's not gross. It's speaking of the opposite of gross, the new Nissan Z car has finally been shown. I'm honestly kind of impressed with how quickly they showed it off. Like, consider from start teaser time to actually release time, I feel like we've only really been hearing about this thing for like a year or so. Maybe a little bit longer in like hints and whispers, but like I feel like it's only been basically like a year or so, and we actually have, you know, the prototype, which they say it's, you know, the classic standard of this is 90% of what it's going to look like, which, by the way, if you've seen it, I think that those wheels aren't going to make it. I'm almost certain those wheels aren't going to make it to the final version. I think everything else will,
no,
but those wheels are not going to. I almost guarantee you they're just they scream. They might be an option, or they might be a Nismo package option, but they're not going to be on the base car. Guarantee you that. Same thing with the big Brembos. You're not going to get big Brembos on the base model, or maybe? I don't know. See, that's the other thing, too, is right now, so we're actually going to go into some details about the car and some rumors and other stuff. So right now, we know for a fact that there will be a twin-turbo V6. They don't say how much power it's going to make. They didn't say how big the engine was going to be, but presumably, based upon Nissan's current situation, it's probably going to be just a reiteration of the VQ, which is not a bad thing at all. But there's
it's a good motor.
Yeah, but there's a lot of rumors floating around about the idea that the twin turbo V6 might end up being like an upper tier option, kind of similar to how we have the 4-cylinder Supra and the 6-cylinder Supra. So a lot of people are thinking there might be a naturally aspirated 6-cylinder that's like your base model. And I don't know, and that's the one thing, like, a lot of people have been talking about, you know, like, different trims, but people haven't been specifying whether or not, like, the boosted one is going to be the Nismo, because traditionally, you know, the Nismo has always been the creme de la creme, or if they're just going to add, you know, more trims to the Nissan whatever Z, because that's the other thing, we don't know. We just know that it's the Z Proto, which is not going to be the final working name, so it could be the 400Z, could be something else, who knows. But I'm really super duper excited because I actually love it. Like, I think the front grille is kind of stupid looking, but after seeing some of the renders of people putting like canards and lips and stuff like that, once you balance that face out a little bit, it's fine. And there will be tons of aftermarket bumpers that make it look instantly fine again. And, you know, if the one thing that'll, like I was about to say, you know, and it's a tuner car, so obviously they're going to do that. The one thing I am worried about is that the car won't be in the affordable price range. Well, it will be affordable for some people, but especially like the twin turbo V6 model, if they do a lower trim model, I feel like, I don't know, there's a part in my bones that say it's going to be a 50 grand car.
Probably.
Which is not a bad price. I mean, it's just, it's, you know, it's super price, which is, I mean, and the new, have you seen the pictures of the new interior?
I have. It looks pretty interesting.
It's a huge improvement over the old
yeah.
Z. The old Z looks like a car from 2007 versus this looks like something modern.
It was
2009. 2009. It's technically from 2009, but it shows so bad. It shows so bad. So bad. But yeah, so yeah, overall, though, the new Z is definitely... And it will... They did confirm it'll be a manual transmission car. Which, you know, that was kind of a given. Well, I guess it wasn't maybe necessarily a given. But especially, like, you know, obviously all the rumors don't mean jack shit. But hopefully, when the rumors stop being rumors, we will hear, like, 400 horsepower or something like that. Because... Then especially if the twin turbo model makes, you know, 400 horsepower, it makes it a proper... Honestly, it kind of almost opens up a segment where, like, now we've got these, like, not quite Corvette fighter sports cars where they're cheaper than a Corvette, but they can get up into that price range. Like, I mean, because I'm trying to think of cars that really fall into that bubble, and it's really It's the Supra, it's the Z4, which is just the Supra without a roof. It's then, you know, it would presumably be this Z car. Again, this is assuming it's 400 horsepower. For all we know, they're going to hilariously disappoint everyone and just say, like, 320 horsepower, and people are going to be like,
what?
But I think the Nismo Z makes 330 horsepower, so there's no frickin' way a twin turbo V6 is only going to make 320 horsepower. It will be, like, pretty much, there's no reason for it not to be 400 horsepower. I don't even see how an engineering team could agree to do something less than that.
No.
So, I'm trying to think if there's any other really cool things that were really mentioned about it. The Z reveal was, did you get to watch the live stream at all? Or
I didn't. I watched, like, 2 minutes of it.
It was really kind of cute because basically what they did was, you know, they had the main presenter on stage, and then and then they actually had a separate meetup of like a bunch of Z owners and stuff, and so it was a socially distanced meetup. So they kind of did the drive-in kind of thing where there was like a big stage, and then they had all these Z's parked out, and it was really cute because basically it was like whenever he was trying to like build up hype and stuff, he'd be like, all right, let me get horn honks and light flashes. And so you'd see the crowd, like, flashing their lights and going, beep, 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 beep.
That's adorable.
It was super adorable. Like, honestly, if you get a chance, watch it, because it is, like, it is more adorable than it sounds.
It's very cute.
But, and I think the one thing that's really kind of neat, and, you know, if I want to go for the low blow, I can say that it's because it's all that Nissan has going for them right now, but they really focused on the heritage of the Z cars. Like, everything was talking about the past, the history, the community, and how important all that stuff was. And so it's kind of like, you know, the pessimist in me is like, it's probably because the specs aren't that amazing, so they're like, let's get the hype train going about, you like, hey, you'll remember the Z car from back in the day? It's a Z car. You want it. Now, again, coming back to the positive side of things, though, this car... Ooh, sorry. This car is actually, like, especially, I love the rear end in how much of a callback it is to both the original 280Z? Yeah. Oh, no, 240Z, I'm sorry. What? Yeah. The original sorry, I'm not a big Nissan guy. The 240Z, it's a combination between the 240Z and the 300ZX rear end. and I really kind of like that kind of callback to it. And then likewise, the interior is actually like kind of like it is a really interesting straddle between retro and modern, like kind of like the gauge placement and the simplicity and the shifter stack and a bunch of other stuff. It is a neat little car.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I actually would heavily consider buying one on it, like flat out, and maybe even especially depending on if we get the lower trim model. I would potentially even consider getting the lower trim model to save myself some money and then use it as my autocross car. It's not like I can use the big 400 horsepower. Well, it depends on how the car puts it down. Maybe the car can put down the 400 horsepower really well.
Yeah, it could. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
You'd have to see what happens when it comes out. I'm curious to see what the road tests say.
Ditto. Also, another thing I will say, I love how a lot of people were joking about it really does scream like Aston Martin a little bit. Like I made the really off-color joke of saying that it was like, it was a kind of just funky, dumbed down Aston Martin in less eloquent words. But either way, it's like it is kind of interesting though how they play like the colors and the highlights. They played with stuff a lot. Like the rear window is a lot bigger and squarer, but when people started, like when really pessimistic people started pointing out, I did notice that the profile is actually really similar to the 300Z, or 300Z, the 370Z, but it is unique enough that it's still totally different. Like, I mean, I still really like it. The front end, also the front end doesn't look as goofy in other colors. Like when people who've rendered this up in black and in white, it suddenly looks a lot less stupid. So it's like something about the bright yellow just really makes it look like, like a cordless vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I can see that. It's literally the same car as the current car. Just look at the A-pillar. I think it's the exact same car. They just made it more pretty.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure obviously the body panels are all tweaked and different, but it's very much like I would be blown away if I found out that it wasn't a extremely copy-paste architecture from the old car.
Yeah. It really is. Like I said, look at the roofline.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing that screams like it. If you told me that this was just a really cool body kit for the 370Z, then I'd be like, meh. Yeah. But again, definitely really neat car. I'm excited for it, and we'll see when the car actually comes out. We'll see.
We'll see.
When the car does come out, like I really look forward to seeing, like, if I can get my freaking money shit squared away. I really look forward to, like, when I'm in a money place to put my money where my mouth is on a car, because, like, for all intents and purposes, like, this is a car I would buy just to encourage its existence. Like, very much so. I actually really like the formula that Nissan has going for it, and like I said, I actually really like this car now. I'm not a Nissan fanboy. I've never owned one. I've never even... Have I driven a Nissan before? I've driven a Rogue. Does that count? Does that make me a Nissan guy? Any love for the Rogue, boys? No, there's no love for the Rogue. The Rogue is...
There's not.
The Rogue is pretty terrible. Oh, actually, I lied. I have driven a heavily modified Juke Nismo RS. So, that is a Nissan thing. It had 370 wheels on it at one point when I drove it, so that's close.
Did you say Weaseals?
Yeah, them Z wheels.
Oh, well, never mind. I thought you said something else.
Oh. So yeah, either way though, lots of hype for that car. Really glad that Nissan seems to be trying for it. I hope it pays off for them, because as much as I love to rag on Nissan, they do have a lot of heritage that would make me very sad to watch them go away. Yeah. Mitsubishi, on the other hand, I've given up on. They made like one cool car. Actually, they did make a handful of cool cars, but it was mostly the Evo. Is the Evo and cars with the Evo drivetrain were pretty much the only cool thing Mitsubishi really did. I mean, I guess, okay, then there's the DSMs, like, you know, there are lots of other things, but Mitsubishi, I've already given up on them. They're like the friend that you watched spiral into, like, drug abuse, and you were, like, never close enough to wanting to, like, get involved in all of that, so you're just like, oh, that's so sad. Anyway, Mercedes has got a... and I think this has actually even been talked about at other manufacturers too, but it was just kind of neat because Mercedes has actively rolled this out. Like, it's not like a concept-y thing. Like, they're actively trying this at some of their dealerships where basically they wear a Microsoft HoloLens / holodeck. I forget if the name like the article calls it holodeck. I've always known it as HoloLens. I don't know if that's a typo for them or if it changed names. Both are entirely possible. Basically they put that on, and they have the idea is it's so that you can have fewer master level techs, which, fun fact, if you didn't know, there's actually a huge shortage. And it's getting worse. So right now it's not like a crisis, but there is a huge shortage in experienced mechanics and techs because they don't get paid enough, and so people don't want to do it, and because of that, like, nobody moves.
That's literally it. I mean, the problem is that with everybody and their brother now has a 100,000 mile, 85,000 year fucking bumper to bumper warranty, and everything on cars is electronic shit that's probably going to break more often than not.
Like 18 sensors within a 5-foot radius.
So everybody's like, oh yay, I could get my car worked on for not a lot of money. But the problem is, at the end of the day, it's not fucking over the dealerships or the companies themselves. It's actually really screwing over the technicians because it's taken out of their wallet. At least that's the way it was when I worked in an Acura dealership. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you get paid on flat rate, right? But warranty work pays half the normal flat rate.
Yep.
So, awesome. Like, that's just the problem with it. Like, it's too much bullshit for the work you want to do. Like, just being a mechanic just sucks. Like, I don't know why people... like romanticize the idea of being a mechanic, and it's just like the job fucking sucks, and your body's broken by age like 35. Yep. No point in doing it.
The only people who really actually get enjoyment out of it are people who start up their own like niche thing and then are lucky enough to make that niche thing work. But even then,
if somebody listening to this is a mechanic and loves it, hey man, more power to you.
Like, you are that perfect level of mentally broken to make it work, and you are the best. And trust me, I am one of you. Like, I don't work in mechanics. Like, I work as a sysadmin, so I'm basically a master level tech for computers. But like, I mean, I love working on my stuff, and I love working on cool things. I love working on two things. I love working on cool things, and I love working on simple things. Because it's like, for instance, I'm working on my friend's Forester in my garage right now. That thing makes my cars look like freaking like Audis. Like, I took my friend, I got the transmission out of my friend's Forester in like less than 8 hours, and most of that, I shit you not, 1 hour of that was getting the driver's side wheel off because it sat outside for 1,000,000 years. And they haven't had their tires changed in 1,000,000 years. Like, I mean, there are chunks out of these tires. Like, they're sketchy. Like, I'm scared for when I have to test drive this thing. But anywho, like, the long story short is that I had to torch the wheel, and then I had to let it soak in penetrating oil overnight, and then I had to put the thing on wheel dollies, move my car out of the garage, push it just close enough to the wall so that I could then drop it back down on the ground, and then push my hands up against the wall and double donkey kick it with both of my legs full force. And then even then, I had to do that 8 times to get the wheel to go to come off. So it's like really weird. Getting the wheels off was the hardest part on this car. Everything else has come apart, and it's just like, wow, why couldn't my car be this easy? And then the other thing is I'm working on a friend's RX-8 because RX-8s are cool. I love Dorito engines. So anyway, going back to the original point, though, is just that due to the huge lack of master level technicians, because the number of people who are willing to put in the back-breaking bullshit hours, like, because that's the other worst thing too about being like a dealer tech, is it's like everything that's wrong with corporate America, and on top of that, everything hurts.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have to buy your own things. Like, nothing is company provided except the lift.
Then you're in debt to Snap-on or Matco till you die.
Yeah. Like it's like, dude, I remember how pissed off I was the day that I found out that mechanics had to buy their own tools. Like, that made no fucking sense to me. Like, me as an IT person, I could do my entire job. Like, you know, you can, oh yeah, you can see my kind of setup over there. I can do my entire job for probably like this whole setup is like $1,500 tops. Versus, I mean, I'm $5,000 in. No, I'm more than I think I might have crested $6,000 finally. I'm $6,000 in tools myself, and I'm finally at a point where I could actually like work on cars. And that's not like I have everything. I just mean like I can do most things, but I would still be buying tools randomly here and there for random bullshit jobs. Because there's tons of tools I don't have. And that's the other thing too is that you have to make the annoying decision of, do I spend $300 on this specialty tool to make this job 10 times easier? Or do I not spend my food money for this month and then do it the hard way, even though it takes 3 times as long? And it's like, those are like the freaking choices you guys like, and it's just a fucked up system. It really is, with the way it's set up now. Like, I could at least condone it if like you didn't have to buy your own tools. Like, if it was just you had to work on shit, at least then that's kind of reasonable. Because it's like, I think even I guess construction workers have to buy some of their own tools, but like the heavy duty tools, like you don't have to lease a Bobcat in order to do your job in construction.
So, anyway.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess unless you're an independent contractor, then of course you're leasing it because you're doing more da-da-da-da-da-da. I know how the system works. I'm just simplifying things. So, long story short is coming back to this, due to the lack of master level techs, Mercedes is now doing where you wear augmented reality glasses and then you can be walked through by an engineer or a master level tech. Because that's the other thing too is that, like, you know, there's master level techs who have the experience with their hands to do it themselves, but in theory you can have somebody who mechanically knows how to do it, or who from an engineering standpoint knows how it's done, who can then walk someone through who has the muscle memory in the hands and the tools to do it. So basically the idea is that they have a coach who's like, okay, check this, do this, do this. And they can kind of follow along because the guy's wearing AR, so he has, you know, lenses looking at everything. And then the other thing, too, that they're playing around with is the idea that, like, the person who's walking him through something could, like, say, draw on, like, they could be like, hey, look at this bolt right here. Because since they're seeing what you can see, and the guy is wearing augmented reality stuff, he can see, like, the overlays that you're doing. So, either way, it's kind of a neat little solution to a problem that, you know, doesn't have to exist if people weren't greedy bastards. But, nonetheless, It's an interesting solution.
Yeah.
And speaking
it's interesting how it'll work.
And I was just saying, speaking of interesting solutions, Hunter, do you want to talk about this one because of how near and dear it is to your heart in your life? Is this what you had to sign? Is this what you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement for, Hunter?
No, I can't talk about that for real.
I know.
Literally cannot talk about that. So no, looks like Aston Martin, right?
Aston Martin
bringing up
old podcast. Check out the old
one.
Our Cars podcast on Shout Engine.
Aston Martin,
Google Podcasts and iTunes are the only places that it was, but the old podcast, Aston Martin.
Aston Martin, baby. Anyway, so they're making their own simulators now because that market is literally exploding. Um, and it's gonna be $74,000, right?
Yeah, but
Like,
it's carbon fiber. It has a Valkyrie,
I
or not a
mean, dude, if you,
Valkyrie.
I mean,
What is it? Has
right? Like, it has all that, but it's just like, goddamn, like you're rich. Like, you know, when you're rich and you're like, they're like, this is how you know you're rich. We could buy. They're like, yeah, I want to buy this.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a racing sim instead of an Audi TT RS
I'm gonna buy a
instead
racing
of a
sim
Cayman
7,
S.
an M3, or literally like a new Corvette, or um a whole litany of things. So
Dude,
yeah, it's
you could literally buy a year's worth of track time and a like $60,000 car for the cost of this sim.
yep, yeah. So
But it's
little
carbon fiber.
pointless, but cool. So kudos to the rich people who have oligarch money and attend eyes wide shut parties who are going to be buying this.
My favorite thing is it's not even like it's literally a play seat. Like it's not. It doesn't have hydraulics in it or anything. It is literally basically designed to work. It's the article mentions Assetto Corsa a bunch of times, so it's not like it has its own like customs. Like it's not like you're getting like the F1 team. Like or Aston Martin has an F1 team, right? There's still
They will soon.
they will soon. Um, are they? But they are involved with someone's F1, right?
Yeah, Red Bull.
Red Bull. Thank you.
Yeah, Red
Yeah,
Balls.
it's like Aston Martin, Red Bull, whatever.
Aston Martin,
Aston Martin. I'm
Red
sorry.
Balls. Aston
Um,
Martin, Red Bulls.
but yeah, so it's not like you get the F1 simulator software or something with this. It is literally a seat, a screen, a wheel, and a pedal setup. Like it's the setup that you can use to play other games.
I mean, it comes with everything you need, so that's
Yeah, I
fine.
mean
But at
that's
the
a
same time,
plus.
it's like
Yeah, it's only 74 grand for everything you need. Sweet.
$74,000 compared to like,
I
whatever.
don't even I don't but I don't it doesn't mention if it comes with the PC or not. I don't know if it does or not. Like it literally doesn't say.
Well, if it comes with the software, I would imagine it comes with a PC.
Maybe not. It'd be freaking hilarious if it didn't. Somebody buys it and it's like, why doesn't it work? Oh, you needed to buy a computer too. What? You know what? It honestly better come with a computer. If
I'm
it
sure it
doesn't,
does.
we
If it has
riot.
software, then yes, of course.
If it doesn't, we riot. Not that we're purchasers or anything, but still we riot. So, speaking of riot, so this year is gonna be these next few years are gonna be the rebirth of a lot of icons. Like we got the Bronco back, we're getting a new Z car, we're getting a bunch of just random stuff that's coming back. The Gladiator's coming in, which is the Jeep truck, and yada yada yada. Well, anywho, the Jeep Wagoneer was officially announced, and it is their 3-row. It's not quite like as massive as a Suburban. It's kind of more Tahoe sized. So it's still not like the biggest of biggest boy SUVs, but it is a big boy SUV. And Jeep opted to go hella upmarket to the point where it's actually like Wagoneer is going to be its own kind of like trim line slash brand. So yeah, it's a full blown luxury SUV, and it's honestly not too bad. Like, not quite. Now, the other thing I will say too is like a lot of the articles were really quick to jump on this, and they're like, it's $100,000 Jeep. That's $100,000. It starts at 60. Obviously, that means you're getting base ass stuff in your luxury SUV, which nobody wants. But it was just really funny because we were talking about the fact that it's kind of indicative of the financial situation of the world, or maybe counter-indicative depending on how you look at it. But like it's funny that like a lot of these like revivals, like the Supra coming back, like all of these things that are coming back as cars that you can only afford if you make more than the average American. Like The Wagoneer starts at 60. You can get it upwards of upwards of 100,000. You get a oh my god, dude. Have you seen how many screens you get?
Yeah, it's stupid.
I think it was either 7 or 8 screens. And I'm not talking oh, they have a little screen.
I don't get it.
There's a lot of it's cuz it's supposed to be a luxury land yacht for people who haul their kids around and go on road trips and stuff. Like it's a big boy SUV, and it's meant to really be like, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of meant to be a stab at the Navigator.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Because the Navigator's $100,000 SUV from Ford, and it is nice. It is very nice.
But you know what the side profile reminds me of? I think it's the Liberty, I want to say. It's one of their smaller ones, right?
Are you thinking of the Durango?
No. The side profile reminds me of like a Liberty, and they like took their fingers on a phone and then just like expanded it, and they're like Wagoneer.
Boom.
Wagoneer.
You know what my favorite thing is they kind of stole the Mercedes. So this thing, it has like a fancy light up grill, and they kind of stole the lighting quality from like Mercedes. Like, you know how the Mercedes badges that light up, it's like a haunting glow. Like, it's not like blind you, look at me, I'm a Mercedes. It's like a light shadow of light that lightly makes you aware that it's a Mercedes. They like went with the I honestly, I swear they bought the same LEDs for the Wagoneer grill.
Honestly, I'm looking at the interior, and I just think it needs more screens.
Dude, it needs way more screens. 7?
It needs the entire interior needs to be screens.
Yeah. So by the way, if you think that we're just being a bunch of old farts, like it is actually like, I love screens in cars. I am actually like the only person on the R Cars team who has no problem with them whatsoever and actually want them.
I don't really hate them. It's just like.
But do you want one in your next car?
Not really.
Exactly. I want one. So
I mean, I can't avoid it anyway. Everything is a fucking.
But you don't want it. If it was optional to not have it, you wouldn't. Versus me, who would add it on. So that being said, but like legitimately, you've got the gauge cluster as a screen. Your center stack is 2 screens. 1 screen for your infotainment, 1 screen for your HVAC.
Which is smart. I'll give them that. That's smart.
Then
that's smart. It really is.
It is. I mean, because it means you can do the 2 things without them interrupting with each other. And you don't have, because it's FCA software. Let's face it. It's
I want to listen to different music. Yeah, I wanted to listen to different music, and my balls are hot, so I don't have to switch to 2 different things.
And you don't have to wait 18 seconds for the page to refresh.
Exactly.
And then likewise, the passenger gets a screen, and these are not tiny screens. I'm talking, none of these screens are smaller than like 11 inches. Like, they are all big. And so it's like the passenger gets their own screen. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is a DVD player or Blu-ray player, and you can put Blu-rays in it, and it will play on all of the screens except the gauge cluster. They didn't go that far, but it will play on all of the... Well, and it won't play on the HVAC control screen because you don't need 2 of the same thing up and above. But like, then there's 2 screens in the back on each headrest, and then there's a center screen that those people can use to adjust their HVAC stuff. So it's like legitimately everybody gets their own screen to watch stuff, which is actually like, again, this is a very nice place to be for somebody who goes on long road trips with their family. Like, it is very nice. The materials are actually really nice, and it's a very classy car. Like, when you option it to like, close to $100,000, which then it should be. If it wasn't, then people would be laughing. The only way people wouldn't laugh is if it had like a Hellcat motor. Oh my god, the tow hook is chrome.
Why wouldn't it be?
And you know what? You were goddamn right. You were so goddamn right. Why wouldn't the tow hooks be chrome?
Why wouldn't it have a screen either? Like, come on.
Why doesn't the tow hook have a screen, dude?
Yeah, it should have a screen.
When I'm winching myself out of the mud in my $100,000 SUV, I want to be able to watch Finding Nemo while I'm standing outside.
When I'm parking at the mall and getting a latte, after yelling at some teenager who just wants a part-time job making coffees, and I get stuck. I need a chrome tow hook.
So anywho, the Jeep Wagoneer, $100,000 SUV. It's
Who cares?
I sound
Honestly,
very you know what,
I'm
we
tired of
sound
caring
very
about
dismissive.
SUVs.
I actually do like for what they're going for. Like, yeah, I'm not hyped because the Wagoneer was supposed to be a family car, not a rich family car. But again, we're kind of hitting that point where, like, right now, the only cars that we are getting are cars that people are actually buying, and the people buying cars are people in their 40s who've already paid off their house, and their kids are already grown up, so they have money to burn, and then they're either buying a boring kids mobile to haul their grandkids around, or not grandkids. If you're 40, you probably shouldn't have grandkids, but you're buying it to haul to do like boring adult stuff, or you're going to want to buy a sports car that doesn't destroy your now starting to fail back. So that's why the Supra is a $50,000 to $60,000 car. It's why I think that the new Z car is going to be a $50 to $60,000 car. It's why pretty much most of the cool things coming out now, like, there's obviously, okay, so I am being dramatic because we did get the Veloster N recently. Fantastic. That starts under 30 grand. Absolutely phenomenal car. If you have the money and are interested, buy a Veloster N. Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Encourage Hyundai. Don't let Hyundai let this die. Buy a Veloster N. I want to buy a Veloster N. We had a whole we had a whole podcast in our last podcast that was literally called, Please Buy the Hyundai Veloster N. It was because I want you to. Actually, no. We had a podcast where I said that. The actual podcast was Please Buy the A110, which, by the way, if you guys are in Europe, please buy the A110. Please keep buying the A110 so that we can get the A110 here in the United States. Please buy the A110. Please buy the A110. I want an A110. Anywho, so that's where we're at. That's why the Wagoneer is a crazy expensive Jeep, is because the only people buying new big SUVs are people who want to be large and in charge because they can afford to be. Womp up. The rest of us are buying CRVs and Hondas and Toyotas and other things that are actually affordable. Boom. That's what it is. So, that being said, speaking of things that only fat cats are buying, Maserati. So, when I say that word out loud, most of you are going to immediately roll your eyes. Trust me, I'm one of those people as well. As a matter of fact, I still roll my eyes despite this. But Maserati, get this, has come out with a mid-engine sports car. Now, before you say, oh god, they made a horrible rebodied 488 or something, no. Ladies and gentlemen, Maserati has made their own a la carte, al dente, mid-engine supercar. I forget, is al dente, what is al dente? Is that like charred? What is al dente?
Yes.
Yeah, it is in fact charred. Wait, no, al dente is with pasta or rice that is cooked to be firm to the bite. It's undercooked pasta. Anywho, alright, so away from pasta though. The MC20 is Maserati trying to get back into kind of sports car racing, because that's the main reason why they built it, is to go racing, which is honestly, I like the spirit of it, that they weren't like, we need to build more attention to the brand, and I'm sure that that's still what the bean counters actually said. But I like the fact that they're very much going, we want to go racing again, so we're going to build a car to do it. And it's actually, not going to lie, reasonably attractive. Like, honestly, more than reasonably attractive. I actually like it. And they somehow, in a world full of, like, cookie-cutter supercars, now, obviously, there's tons of supercars that are really unique, but they actually managed to make a car that looks unique on their own. Like, I can recognize this car on the road. Not that it's out yet, but if one drove by, I would actually be able to go, that's a Maserati MC20. I would actually be able to do it. And I think a lot of it is just because, like, they actually really opted for a really simple design language. Like, it's actually a really kind of just, like, calm car. Like, what did you got a better word for that, Hunter? Do you think it's very calm?
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that.
But yeah, so basically, yeah, go for it.
I think it looks cool. I think I'm interested. $200,000 Italian sports car. I mean, not a lot of that happening anymore.
Yeah. All in all, though, like it's like we'll have to see if it's a hot mess, and we'll have to see if they all catch on fire or not. Because I'm still skeptical about reliability. But the bones are really, like, it's a full carbon fiber tub supercar. It's a mid-engine V6 with twin turbos. The interior is actually like it's like really pleasantly simple, like not in a bad way. Like I was actually ragged on it at first until I really kind of let it mull on me, but it's really kind of reminds me of like an upscale 4C. Like how there's not like a lot of flashy stuff. Although I did find out later there are going to be trims with flashier color. Like you can get like brown leather and a bunch of other stuff. So you will be able to up trim this thing to be more Ferrari like basically interior wise. But the base interior is very sports car. Like very much so. But again, not in a bad way. Like flat out, I actually am not disgusted with this car. I kind of like what it stands for.
No, I'd be curious.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see what it's like. I mean, it's just like I mean, I don't care about 90% of the supercars that come out these days because they're all the same to me. They're all 250K plus. Nobody can afford them. Who cares, right?
Pal.
Yeah, more than you can afford, pal. So like, it's pretty cool to see something like this, and they're aiming for the under 200K mark. I'm excited to see something like this come out.
I hope that it spells good for Maserati because they are not like a heavy hitter in the market. So if this flops, it could be bad for them. But we'll see when Top Gear and all the other big time reviewers get a hold of theirs, and obviously we're gonna get our review unit soon, because we're gonna get it before everybody else. But
right.
Our embargo is like 10 years longer than everybody else because they know that we're so good that they can't let our words go out to the public. Like we can't spew our truth. So I'll keep it close to my heart and know what this car is like, but you guys will have to wait. And honestly, at that point, when we have to wait 10 years, we're not really going to get any monetization. So, that's exactly why we're not reviewing these top-tier supercars. It's just not worth our time. It's really not. So, speaking of not worth our time... No, okay, that's a horrible way to do it. I was trying to go with a time thing because of the time, like... I don't know, time. Hunter, you want to talk about this one? Because I butchered my transition and made it sound like I don't care, when in reality it's actually really cool. But it's also kind of funny and obscure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you want to say what it is, or are you just going to leave them in the dark?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm going to leave people in the dark.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, this topic was cool.
All right, so
next topic.
Hybrid Jeep Wrangler. Hybrid Jeep Wrangler.
So, that a lovely Miss Chloe Chambers, a 16-year-old karting champion, was plopped behind the driver's seat of a 718 Cayman, and she proceeded to break the world slalom record, which is basically it's a slalom course of, I think it's like 51 cones. Yeah, it's like one of those weird obscure records where it's like, I'm 100% not discounting her skill. 100% like she is a karting, she's a karting racer. They're really good at driving lightweight things in really tight and controlled ways because that's literally all they do. So 100% she earned this record. But it's also like one of those records where I really wonder like how many times it's even been attempted in the first place because I've never heard of it. Like doing 51 cones as fast as possible, like I've genuinely never heard of this world record. It's not something that I've been aware of, but I almost guarantee you chances are she completed it in 47 seconds, which means she slalomed between faster than a cone a second. And I guarantee you, if any of you assholes who are like, oh, I can do it out of my sleep, I bet if any of you tried, you'd probably get a 53 at best. Probably. At best.
I'm on her website. She's pretty...
She has a website?
Yep, ChloeChambers.com.
Is it linked on the website, or did you just Google her?
No, I Googled her.
God bless Google. All right, I got to see this now. All right, let's see. Chloe Chambers. Godspeed for her though. Like, dude, I love the fact that we have a young girl who is like working, who's actively doing stuff in race car stuff. Like, ladies, by the way, this is so you guys can see, this is her website. Ladies, aspire to be this girl. She is doing cool race car stuff. She's breaking records. Oh wow, that picture like goes whoop and then it goes back up. Like, one of her pictures is really long and it displaces the rest of the website. It's great. I love that her like victory pose is like 2 fingers up. Like, oh my god, this little girl is adorable. I mean, little, she's 16. She'd probably smack me for saying that.
Well, I was looking at her results. Like, she's done pretty well. So hopefully we see more in the future.
Yeah.
Who knows?
God, I just love. But that's the biggest reason why I brought it up is I just love seeing like not just young people like doing like astounding things in racing, but especially like young females. I always like same thing with who is God. Now I'm sounding like a total asshole. Like I don't care. What was the name of the person who posthumously got the land speed record for a woman? What was her name?
Oh God.
Yeah, see, now we both look like a bunch of freaking sexist assholes.
No, it's just I forgot.
Anywho, but it's just like how we brought that up because it's just like, again, it's like, dude, we really need just more people. Like we need more people of various ethnicities. We need people of every gender going out and doing these things because they really shouldn't just be guy things.
It's not Jerry, is it? No, Jesse Combs, right?
Combs, I think that's right. Hold on.
Okay.
Jesse Combs. Yep, that's her, Jesse Combs.
Okay.
Look at that. See, you figured it out. All right. So, anywho, on to figuring other things out. So, do you want to talk about this? Because I know how much you love all of the things that are involved in all of this.
Sure fucking don't, because this is stupid. But here we go, kids. We're gonna get it. Because government mandates your entire line of vehicles has an average miles per gallon per vehicle. You're gonna get a hybrid Jeep Wrangler. That's right. The most inefficient car of all time is gonna be hybrid. Inefficient.
Dude, you just remind me of like that post that gets shared every now and then about how a lobster is more aerodynamic than a Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah, everything's literally more.
Like, I'm trying to think if there's any, like, literally, because the Jeep Wrangler is, like, one of the few cars left that still has right angles. Like, full-blown right angles.
Yep.
So, for those of you guys who are chomping at the bit for more details on this, this is actually, in a lot of ways, it's a really cool thing, if only because it has 2 electric motors. One of them is in the transmission, and one of them is also a generator thing. I forget how. So basically there's one 44 horsepower starter generator in the engine bay, dubbed E-Torque by Jeep, and a second 134 horsepower unit integrated in the 8-speed transmission. It produces 375 horsepower, which is 90 more horsepower than the regular 4-cylinder turbo, and it produces 28 more foot-pounds than the diesel. Which, by the way, I just love the fact that Jeep is continually like giving us a reason to hate them for even bothering with the diesel, because Jeep guys have been asking for a diesel for years. And then they released a diesel that literally doesn't do anything better than any other Wrangler, like in any way, shape, or form. Like they're just like, here's a diesel. It makes the car 300 pounds heavier and
doesn't do shit.
Somehow gets the same, if not slightly worse, fuel economy. And yeah, there you go. It's a diesel. It's like, but you missed the whole reason why people wanted the diesel. We wanted torque and okay. So anywho, this is the most powerful Wrangler. However, before you go, oh boy, I just found myself my Jeep Wrangler dragster. It also weighs 830 pounds more than the lightest. Now, I hate that they did this in the article. The lightest 4-door Wrangler is 830 pounds lighter than this Wrangler. So, obviously the lightest Wrangler has less options and a bunch of other stuff, but still, that still means like this thing is an absolute unit. It weighs 5,000 pounds. And in something that's a Jeep size, because like it always feels weird for me to call a Jeep an SUV because they're like car sized, like interior space wise, they're not big, they're really not.
Yeah, no, they aren't.
So either way, it's just an absolute unit of a vehicle. But it does have because of all the e-torque things, it'll be an absolute beast on the trails because it's got all that it's got doesn't even have to at certain RPMs it won't even have to use crawler gears and stuff. It can just use the electric
motor, which is cool.
Yeah, and it apparently somehow they anticipate it's going to manage 50 mpg, which basically means that it's more fuel economical than some of their cheapy boys. So that's a huge plus. It's a brick that gets better than a first gen or second gen Prius. See, sound appealing to you guys, folks? You can live that Jeep life and save the planet. And actually, I think it also has 25 miles of electric range, which technically for me that would be I could do my daily commute on all electric power in this thing. I mean, I have a short commute, and I haven't done my short commute since March, but still, it's an option. And all in all, it's the other thing that's neat is in order to protect the batteries, no 4xe will be less than a Sahara. So they all have 10 inches of ground clearance, and so basically that means that the base 4xe is taller than a base Wrangler, and if you go up trim, to the high, if you go to I think it comes in a Rubicon. I'm pretty sure it comes in a Rubicon. It actually has better ground clearance than the regular Rubicon. Yeah, it's specifically it has 10.8 inches of ground clearance versus the I think the regular one is not that much short. It's still in the 10-inch range. But I just still find that if you want the most capable Wrangler, this one actually technically is stock. It's just chonky. So that's the big thing that we'll have to see. I can't wait until people get it out onto trails and start testing it, because it's for something that weighs because let's face it, the real king is a two-door Rubicon, and for this thing weighs 1,000 pounds more than a two-door Rubicon. So it's for all intents and purposes, it feels like it should just sink in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But it's just kind of neat, and everyone was hyped for it. And honestly, for anybody who isn't a cold-blooded American, for you warm-blooded Americans, it's another way for you to enjoy your Jeep while having less of an impact on the world. Because if you have a short commute, boom, e-commute, all the other fun stuff. So toot toot, wins for all. And also, it starts at $40,000, which again, it's not that bad because it's a Sahara at base level. So, there you go. Boop boop. You want to talk about this next one, or do you want me to take it?
No, actually, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not really anything. It's just a Bronco going fast as fuck, and people are trying to figure it out if it's the Raptor or the Warthog model. So yeah, nobody knows. This article is kind of pointless.
I will say, so the biggest takeaway from it is this picture was actually tweeted by Ford. Ford actually posted this up, and dude, the travel on that thing. That is...
Yeah, you could tell the suspension travel on things ridiculous.
That is trophy truck. Straight up trophy truck travel.
Yeah.
Because especially, that's extension, and in theory, compression is usually... On things like this, in a sports car, compression is actually in the fender well. But on stuff like this, compression is usually about an inch an inch or two short of the actual fender, so that way, when you're turning with your big fat tires, you don't frickin' smash your fender open when you land. But even then, that's like, that is at least probably like 14 inches of travel. And it's probably more than that. My eyes just aren't good enough to really tell, because I don't do off-road enough to be able to tell properly. I apologize. I'm sorry, guys. Yes, I do rally, but rally cars have like 8 inches of travel. And if like the stage rally cars have like 9 or 10, like the big boy cars. So I don't do the 3 freaking feet of wheels bouncing up and down. I want to get more in. I mean, it's the reason why I'm gonna get the Raptor. So because I want to get more into that kind of stuff. So yeah. Anywho, this thing is gonna be an absolute hoot. And to be honest, especially if we get a powerful drivetrain in it, like this will be the new like it'll dethrone the Raptor. Well, if it's called the Bronco Raptor, then it'll just be part of the Raptor family. But we'll finally have our short, smaller, more agile Raptor thing.
Yep, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think this will they'll just kill the Ford F-150 Raptor after this. Honestly, I don't see any. There's no point in them having it if this comes out to be a Raptor. Like,
well, let's
literally
face
no
it,
point.
The pavement princess people still need it. They do still need the truck, because the Bronco is it's manly, but it's not quite truck manly.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about, by the way, speaking of truck manly, do you want to talk about your favorite truck, the most manliest truck of all man trucks?
Yeah, so GMC, yet again, just releasing more pointless shit on their dumbass trucks. Apparently the new Hummer EV can crab walk, so that'll be used all of about 3 times in this vehicle's entire life.
Dude, there is no practical use for that. Like,
we are professional grade. We wasted money developing.
In theory, I mean, I guess maybe the fact that, like, your front wheels can still turn sharper, so maybe it gives you a more aggressive exit on parallel parks.
Who cares?
It's a dumb feature. Like, I genuinely cannot think of a time where this feature would be necessary for anything. Ever. Because it's not even like an aggressive crab walk. It's like we're looking at like 10 degrees, maybe 15 degrees of wheel rotation. So it's like, actually, it is a little more aggressive than, because I think it's like the Honda Prelude had the rear wheel steer, and that one was like 10 degrees. This is actually probably maybe 20 degrees. I don't know. Obviously, I guess we'll find out when they do the freaking show, when they show it off, and they'll be on stage, and then it'll be like, and we're proud to hold on, I gotta put on my announcer voice. And we are proud to announce the crab walk. And then everyone will go, woo, wah, wah, and then it'll go, huh? And everyone will be like, but anyhow, I look forward to it. It'll be funny. I like what they're doing with weird EV stuff.
Yeah.
Crab walk is useless, though.
Totally.
But you want to know what's not useless? So this was just kind of
This is pretty cool.
It was cool in almost like a sad, funny kind of way, because it's kind of like, there's a word for this, and I don't actually know what the word is. And I can never remember what it is, and I hate it because it's like a perfect way to encapsulate the feeling. So basically, there is a Michigan group, specifically a group in... Alright, I apologize to every one of you who lives there. Your city name is weird and not English, so I'm going to butcher this. But Ypsilanti, Michigan? Maybe is the Y silent? Well, then it would be Pslotty.
No, it's Ypsilanti.
Ypsilanti or Auntie?
Yep. Ypsilanti.
Auntie. Okay, Ypsilanti, Michigan, are offering free auto repairs with an emphasis on people who are minorities to help cut down on unnecessary traffic stops. So, you know, if you don't know what's been going on in the United States over the past few years, you live under a rock and you are living your best life. You are unaware of how much of a shit show 2020 has been. So, you know, go back under your rock, stop listening to our podcast right now, and like I said, keep on living your best life, fam. Wait like 4 or 5 years and hopefully things will be better.
Yep.
For the rest of you, though, you are aware of how things are going on. And so in a lot of ways, it's both awesome, sad, and hilarious that there are entire groups of people dedicated to the idea of, hey, let me help you for free so you don't get pulled over, because we know there's a chance if you get pulled over, you're not going to be alive tomorrow. So let's fix your taillight. Like, it's like, I love the fact that people are like, and again, this is not mocking. This is like me just kind of like befuddled and happy and sad all at the same time about the idea that people are like, it is dangerous for you to get pulled over as a minority. Let's make sure that you don't get pulled over for random bullshit. So
yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's kind of like one of those things where if I lived in Ypsilanti, I'm sorry I butchered it again, but I would offer to help. Like, I mean, it's like, because especially, you know, there's so many little like, I mean, changing a taillight bulb is something that's hard until you get used to cars, and then once you've done it, and you know, it's easy. But if you're not a car business, it's like the littlest thing. And then again, you know, you're in a traffic stop, and suddenly, you know, they say, well, can I see your wallet? And then, you know, you reach out too fast because you're a nervous wreck, and then suddenly you get shot. So it's like, it is terrifying that I can think that this isn't ridiculous. Like, that's the best way to put it. Like, it's terrifying that we live in a world where I can go, that's a good idea. It shouldn't be a good idea. It should be a dumb idea, but it's a good idea. So, yeah. But yeah, so, that was pretty neat. So I just wanted to add that little nugget out there. And likewise, if any of you guys are interested in doing something like that, I'm sure you could reach out to them and find out how they're organizing it and do something yourself. You know, help make sure that the homies don't get shot or don't get pulled over. I'm sorry. They're not 1-to-1. It's not a guarantee. Yeah, totally. Pullovers always end well for people of color and people who are minorities. Always. Never a problem. Never once. And even honestly, even for people who aren't. Like, you know, if you're just like, you know, you may not think of yourself as it, and I apologize if I offend anyone for saying it, but like, if you're kind of like a white trashier person, you're kind of at risk too. Yeah. You just have to, you know, tick the wrong cop off on the wrong day. There's tons of, you know, just like, that's one of the things that I think I've actually really liked recently is that, like, on Reddit and a lot of social media, there have been a lot of, like, Black Lives Matter people who have been actively also making note of, like, police brutality incidents against everybody. Like, they're like, here's a video of this white dude who did absolutely nothing wrong and he got freaking shot. Here's it. Like, it's, you know, it's become that whole, like, bad cop, no donut situation where people are just calling cops out for not doing, you know, I mean, I guess technically somebody told me that, like, cops took to protect and serve off of their cars, and I have noticed I don't see that as much as I used to. So I guess they don't protect and serve anymore. Womp womp. By the way, totally random tangent thought, but Hunter, do you remember the first Transformers movie? Did I lose you, Hunter? You're quiet. You're not speaking. Now you're muted. You weren't muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
I don't know what happened there. My audio just wasn't going through. Yeah, no, I don't remember it.
You don't remember it?
I don't think so.
There is this.
Are you talking about the? What's his name? Michael Bay.
Yeah, the Michael Bay one.
The Michael Bay ones. Yeah, I remember the first one.
Yeah, I still to this day can never unthink the fact that God, I can't remember what his name was. The Decepticon who was a cop car. I just love the fact that his tagline was to punish and enslave instead of protect and serve.
Yeah.
I will never forget that line. But anywho, that was just a random thing I brought up because I always think it kind of like when I get up on my Black Lives Matter pedestal, that's like the thing I think of is like, you know, not to protect and serve, to punish and enslave. So yeah. Anywho, we got a little, you know, we ended up talking about sad stuff at the end there a little bit, but again, it's still, you know, the main bubble there was happy, in that people are actually going out of their way to trying to fix the non-problem part of a problem so that the problem part of a problem can't happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which is good.
So, as always, a huge thank you to everybody who listens to these podcasts and gets to listen to us ramble about random pointless crap for, you know, 30 minutes before we actually talk about the news that we promise you. As always, you can please, if you like our podcast at all, just, you know, subscribe to it on whatever platform of your choice so you can get fed to you. Obviously, we post up when we have our podcasts up on social media, so you can always find us there. These also go up on our YouTube channel, so if you want to watch me flail around and make all my mouthy faces, I've got... on some podcasts, I'm, like, dead flat, and on other podcasts, like, my face is, like, in 18 different million places at any given time. So if you want to watch that, that's on YouTube. And, you know, again, keeping with the meme... I don't know why I keep calling it a meme, but keeping with the theme, anybody who messages me... The first person who messages me with, I don't know, what's today's secret word gonna be? Ooh, I'm trying to think. What did we talk about at the start of the day? What was our big tangent? The big tangent
was...
Idiots? Yeah, alright, let's go with idiots. So, I think, you know what, I'm gonna call this episode... do we want to call it idiots?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's call it idiots. So, but yeah, so anyway, go ahead and send idiots to juan.johnson@thecolumnshifters.com, and we will go ahead and send you, you know, a $10 gift card in some way, shape, or form to an eating establishment of your choice. So, as always, it is an absolute pleasure getting to talk your guys' ear holes off. And by the way, also, Hunter, I don't know if you know, we the Joe Rogan podcast is still our biggest download one. Apparently, people really like Joe Rogan, or not.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Did you actually not know it? Yeah, on Buzzsprout. Hold on. I lied to you guys about this being over. The Joe Rogan podcast has been listened to 98 times. The next highest one is 27.
Jesus. Okay, well.
So yeah, apparently we need to bring Joe Rogan onto our podcast.
We should just call this one Donald Trump and see what happens.
Dude, that is the most clickbait stuff.
Just special guest Donald Trump.
Although I will say, you know, it's nice that Time Attack stuff actually got a lot of natural traffic without having any buzzwords. It got traffic. You know, 27 is more than a lot of stuff. So, it's like, because you look at the other ones are all like single digits. So, anywho, we are gonna go ahead. Now we're actually gonna go. Thank you for listening to us. We'll tune in a couple of weeks, and you'll get to hear us ramble more about random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Toodles.
Bye-bye.